given the length of the long side. So the long side is going to be side B, right? Because C is the hypotenuse, A is the short side or short leg, and then B is the long side or the long leg. So number 15 rather tells us that B is going to be equal to 12 miles. So given my formulas, B equals A square root of 3 and C equals 2A, first I'm going to solve for A. And the reason for that is because I need A in order to solve for C. As you can see here, I'll have to plug A in here to make C. So my equation is B equals A square root of 3 and B equals 12. So then I have 12 equals A square root of 3. So since I'm solving for A, I've got to get A by itself. So I'm going to divide out the square root of 3. Okay, and that cancels. So now I'm left with A equals 12 over the square root of 3. A equals 12 over square root of 3. So because I can't have a square root on the bottom, again I have to do my form of 1. So unlike earlier where we had the square root of 2, since I have the square root of 3 here, then this must be 3 also, because this is the only way I can make a 1. 3 square root of 3 divided by the square root of 3, that would be a 1, and that's hence the form of 1. So I go on to my next step, right? I take 12 times the square root of 3, gives me 12 times square root of 3. And then the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 9. So I noticed, I should know by now that the square root of 9 is a perfect square, right? Because 3 times 3 is 9. So then that makes this bottom, the denominator here, 3, and then 12 over the square root of 3. Or I'm sorry, 12 times the square root of 3. Now from here, I can simplify. 3 goes into 3 once. It goes into 12 4 times. So then what I'm left with is A equals 4 square root of 3. So this gives me A right here. Okay, that gives me A. So now that I have A, I can take the A and I'll be able to plug it in here, right? Because if I've already solved for B, now I want to solve for C. So C equals 2A. And I established down here that A was equal to 4 times the square root of 3. So I'm going to plug all of this right here into A. So now I have C equals 2 times 4 square root of 3. So I'm going to take 2 times 4, which is 8. So C is going to equal 8 and the square root of 3. And so now I have solved for C. So then to determine the length of each of and these are all miles, right? Got to put my units in. So I determined that my given equation was B, or I'm sorry, my given length, rather, not equation, my given length was B, 12 miles. And over here, I determined that A equaled 4 square root of 3 miles. And then I determined that C, right here, equaled 8 square root of 3 miles. And that's how I would determine A, B, and C for number 15 on 4.4. Good luck.